Barack Obama said, "No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change." I want you to take a second to imagine your future great-grandchild. If we continue on the path we're on, they will live in a world where the oceans are so acidic that they won't be able to swim in them. Rising sea levels will put populous cities like Shanghai, South London, Lower Manhattan, San Francisco, LA, and Venice underwater and forcing their populations to move inland. Wildfire seasons and hurricanes will become longer and more destructive. Food shortages and droughts will increase global hunger, and violence in economically unstable countries will increase due to the effects of climate change. Species like rhinos, whales, elephants, gorillas, tigers, sea turtles, and leopards will have been extinct for decades due to things like habitat loss, poaching, ocean acidification, food loss, and air pollution. Speaking of air pollution, a large majority of the population in a matter of decades will suffer from heart disease and cancer due to increasing air pollution. Stephen Hawking says that if we continue on this path, we will need to find a new planet to live on by the year 2100. I believe in a little thing I like to call the law of change. We will continue on the same path until we find a reason to change our ways. Some ways that you can do this are supporting your local politicians, government politicians, and voting for policies that support saving the earth. Richard Nixon started the trend of protecting the environment almost 50 years ago when he created the Environmental Protection Agency and the Endangered Species List. Jimmy Carter also continued the trend by creating the Department of Energy, expanding the national park system, putting solar panels on the roof of the White House, and encouraging Americans to put on a sweater in the winter rather than turning up the heat. Ronald Reagan took a weaker stance with the environment, but eventually added millions of acres to the National Wilderness Preservation System. George Bush Sr. had many pressing economic demands during his presidency, but still took important steps to decreasing pollution in the United States. Although Bill Clinton had his setbacks, he did strengthen both the economy and the environment during his presidency. George W. Bush had an incredible impact on the environment that was positive. He took steps towards marine conservation in the 8 years that he was president that was equivalent to the steps that we took in 100 years on land. Barack Obama gave $90 billion to green initiatives in his presidency, and his most notable achievement was signing the 2015 Paris Accord, which keeps developing countries responsible for their emissions. Now, we've all heard of saving the environment using things like recycling, taking a bike instead of your car. But did you know that if everyone in the U.S. ate no meat or cheese 1 day a week, 7.6 million cars is the equivalent of how much would be taken off the road? If everyone in the U.S. skipped 1 meal of chicken a week, it would be the equivalent of taking 500,000 cars off the road. But by far, my favorite solution to climate change is women empowerment. In developing countries, most girls are pulled out of school in 5th or 6th grade, and when this happens, they have an average of 5 children in their lifetime. If they are permitted to continue to 10th or 11th grade, they have an average of 2 children, and less people equals less climate change. I'm fighting for the future. I want to be able to enjoy things I love, like skiing, hiking, sports, swimming in the ocean, and the smell of clean mountain air. I'm fighting for my future kids and grandkids to be able to enjoy these too. This is a fight that we can't put off, and we need to start now if we have any hope for reducing the change that we've already created. Thank you.